Hello BookTube, it's Becky from Becky Writes. This is Becky Reads, and this is my spoiler-free review of A Darker Shade of Magic by VE Schwab. I just finished A Darker Shade of Magic. This is the first in the Shades of London or Shades of Magic trilogy. I don't know what the official trilogy title is. This is the first in the trilogy by VE Schwab that concluded this year and follows the interesting adventures and misadventures of Kel, who can transfer between 4 Londons. Basically, the overarching plot is that the world has 4 different dimensions, you might say, and they have a pinpoint of the city of London as a geographic overlap between the different worlds. And there are not very many people who can travel between the worlds, and one of the few of them is Kel, and he has a magical coat, and he has some very strong magical abilities. He looks and is marked by the magic that he carries, and he is from what is called Red London. Our form of London is called Grey London. There is a very violent kind of London called White London, and then a London that's completely shut off and thought to be destroyed called Black London. In the beginning, we meet Kel, and we discover that in addition to carrying letters, he also carries trinkets back and forth between the worlds, which he's not supposed to be doing, and is thrown into a situation when something that shouldn't be transferred between the worlds is, and he has to right this wrong. In that process, he meets Delilah Bard, who goes by Lila. She is a pickpocket and thief extraordinaire from Grey London, our London, and they get thrown together into many crazy situations. This is the first in an adult fantasy trilogy, and it has an incredible sense of world building and incredible layers of plots. I can really feel like there are going to be threads that are pulled out of this story, and I'm curious as I'm working through the second one, I just started the second book, how these threads that we've been given, that they're not super in your face, but you know they're going to end up being seen again, how she's going to weave it together. I'm quite curious. The writing here is crisp and it is detailed without feeling heavy. You really feel like you're in the world. It feels rounded without, I don't know, feeling kind of like Lord of the Rings where there's too much description. It's a nice balance of action and description. The character development is fantastic. Lila Bard is going to be one of my very favorite characters. She's just so sassy and she has so much confidence and she's such a badass. I am enjoying that so much, to have such a strong, competent woman who isn't confident strictly because of like a sexual prowess, but rather because she is physically able to fight and defend herself and defend others, and she's smart and she uses her wits to get her out of trouble as much as she uses her fists. I'm really enjoying the development of that character, and I'm so glad that she's in this. I am interested in the magic system that we're just beginning to see. Magic is a living thing and how that really plays into this world that we're developing, and I just think that the concept of 4 Londons is really compelling. So I think that this is a really fun adventure and I've enjoyed it. Now overall, I gave us a 4 out of 5 stars, and I do have a few critiques. The first one really being that the action that moves this story along doesn't really get started until almost 100 pages in. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't action. There's plenty of things going on, but the actual major plot arc of this story doesn't start until you're a solid quarter of the way through the book, and so for some people that might be off-putting. Now, it didn't bother me at all, but I can see where that would be frustrating. My second critique comes mostly from myself as a reader, and I don't think everybody would experience this way, but I had a lot of anxiety reading this, and I'm sure that was me as much as it was this. Now, I went into this with very little knowledge of what the plot was. I knew there were 4 Londons, and I knew that the main character, Kel, had magic, and that Delilah was a pickpocket. That was really all that I knew. I'd kept to myself very clear from spoilers, so I didn't have any anticipations of what was happening. I felt from the beginning this ominous cloud, and for some people that's great because it is that foreboding that keeps building and building and building until, you know, the pieces come together and it's a big deal, but at the same time it made it kind of hard for me to read. I don't know, I was very anxious reading this book, so I missed some of the detail, I think, because I was trying to figure out what was going to happen, trying to figure out what's going to happen. Now, there is one last critique that many people make about VE Schwab's writing, and they have made about this, which is that it's not very diverse. Now, I have seen some of the fan art of the Maresh royal family, the royal family of Red London, and they are depicted and they are described as tan-skinned and dark-haired, which I think is Schwab's attempt at clearly defining someone as a person of color, but I think I'm not sure how that plays out as far as whether or not it's real diversity, since that is kind of the norm for this London, but we don't have much more descriptors than that, and how, because they're not like people of color in the sense of our world, how that plays in representation and diversity. I know that VE Schwab was at the center of a difficult conversation on diversity a few months ago, and I'm not here to resurrect that, but I do think that these books could have easily been more obviously diverse and more obviously inclusive of people of color. I feel right now that it's just more of a subtle tip of a hat towards diversity rather than a true investment in diversity. So that is the final critique I have. Other than that, I really enjoyed this world. I really enjoyed this book. I raced through it. I'm racing through the second one, and I'm enjoying this just complex world, complex plot, beautifully developed characters, beautiful writing. Victoria Schwab is a fantastic writer. If you're looking for a high quality fantasy that has elements of high fantasy and elements of urban fantasy, I think that A Darker Shade of Magic and the Shades of Magic series is really where you want to go. I gave us 4 out of 5 stars. I'm looking forward to the sequel. Comment down below, you guys, and let me know if you've read A Darker Shade of Magic and what your thoughts are. This book series has been really hyped, but I think it really lives up to the hype. I've been pleasantly surprised. And if you haven't read it, are you going to plan to? Is this something that you're looking forward to reading? Is this something that you're now going to consider? Let me know. I'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comments. Hope you guys are all doing well. Give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!